We'll take a cup o' kindness yet for life's potluck buffet. Hi, this is John Paulus. You're listening to Life's Potluck Buffet. You're probably wondering why I sang the last line from Auld Lang Syne, a song associated in English-speaking countries, at least, with New Year's celebrations and December 31st, and it's August 15th. But in the same way that we had an episode about spooky Halloween stuff on August 10th, I think it's fine to have an episode about New Year's resolutions on August 15th. And the last line of Auld Lang Syne says, "We'll take a cup o' kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne," for old time's sake. Now, today's card is card 49, and it is a card about that cup of kindness. Inflict your kindness on others, not your traumas. Let me read you the card. We know that as a society and as individuals, we visit our traumas on one another. It goes without saying that traumas we experience while on the job are as personal and serious as all other ones we experience. Strive never to use your work as an excuse to hurt others, but instead always to inflict only kindness on them. Think of a work experience that caused you harm or anguish. How could this situation have been handled with care? The reason it's important to think about the results of kindness versus the results of trauma in the work environment is that it's much like the situation with traffic accidents. I don't know if you've ever heard of this study that was done, but it found that when there was a traffic accident on a freeway or a highway, depending on where you are, let me know in the comments, or if you call it something else. And also don't forget about what you call a Dutch oven or casserole. I wonder if there's a correlation between whether you say freeway and Dutch oven or highway and casserole. We'll find out. Yeah, so say both so that we can do our own study. This study showed that if there was an accident on a particular part of a road, that the traffic would be slowed in that spot long after, hours after, the accident was cleared from that spot. So it created this space of slowdown. And there's something to that in terms of traffic flow. I find this is also true in workplaces, at organizations, in units in organizations. All it takes is one person to create that workplace equivalent of the accident on the highway that then creates an environment that sticks around well after that person is gone, well after those individuals are gone, if it's a number of individuals, and it sticks with the unit. And it is very hard to change that. Perhaps at some point, like the traffic accident situation, it clears itself, but it's hard to tell when that point happens. And if you enter in on a situation where that kind of trauma has happened, you'll know. And you'll know that it's still there, even though those people may be long gone. It's very difficult to reverse this. So I want to give a couple of thoughts about that, how to undo that when it's happened. The first key is to understand the situation and have it in the open. If that is made clear and put out in the open, that's the equivalent of the Life's Potluck Buffet idea of self-awareness, where you're in your unit there figuring out what has gone wrong, where that accident happened, and really working together as a unit. And if you're in leadership in the unit, your new leadership in the unit, then this is a really important thing to do. And it's easy not to do it because nobody wants to bring old problems up. But it will always be in the background if nothing is done about it. finding out what happened is important. Knowing that's the situation and trying to understand as best as you can what is going on is step one. Step two is do you remember the card about learning from bad management and bad leadership examples? What do? You do the opposite. So what's the opposite of trauma? Informed kindness. And what is informed kindness? Well, it's a little different from the random acts of kindness. And I want to honor there the story of Ann Herbert in Sausalito, who came up with this idea by saying the opposite of random acts of violence. Ann Herbert said, well, what about random acts of kindness? There's something about that story that says she wrote this down on a placemat in a restaurant in Sausalito in California. Hi, everybody in Sausalito. Hope you're doing well. So I'm not sure what restaurant it was in Sausalito. If anybody has the issue of the Coevolution Journal where Ann Herbert first published this idea of random acts of kindness, please do let me know. I would love to see it, and I can't find it online at least. I can dig deeper and look in libraries and so forth. But if anybody out there has the article in Coevolution magazine, I think it's 1982. I don't know what issue. Otherwise, I would get it. But if you do have that, let me know. I'm interested to see what it says. The difference I'm talking about here is that, as was the case with our card, Make People's Days, if you know what is going to make that person's day, then do it. If you know something that will make someone's day, that means you know the person. You're not doing something randomly because you know that, like, the person behind you might not want you to buy them coffee. We're taking into account here other people's desires, other people's wills, and what other people want. That's something that so often does not get included in these considerations of kindness, is that you need to know the person well, and there needs to be a kind of consent for kindness of the level that we're talking about. It's something worth thinking about as we discuss these ideas, because the last thing you'd want to do is not make someone's day by doing something they really didn't want. And this is really important, and it's really hard. It's hard work. Like everything else in life, this is hard work too. Kindness is hard work. But once you know the traumatic situation in a work sense that was going on, from whatever source it was coming from, and whatever form it took, the second step to fixing that problem after you've identified it is to do the opposite, in the same way that we're doing the opposite of what bad managers and bad leaders do. Because almost every time you'll be doing the right thing. It's finding out about the situation the same way you find out what a person wants that will make their day, and doing it. Understanding the situation and then doing what will make that situation's day. Again, think of that culture as a kind of organism, and think of it's in a bad place. What will make this organism's day? What will make this culture's day? In a good sense. And then do that. Come to think of it, this is a lot like New Year's Eve, since I started by singing Auld Lang Syne. So let's make a resolution that we keep, and let's inflict our kindnesses on others and not our traumas. If you enjoyed this episode, please inflict a like on it, subscribe, and head to lifespotluck.com to learn more about the world of Life's Potluck Buffet and to check out the free materials like the worksheet we did yesterday and Recipes for Success, a guide to using the game that you'll enjoy. So wishing you a happy Life's Potluck New Year, and we'll see you on the first day of the new year, August 16th.